Yes, us. Welcome to the Kefi Life Podcast. My name is Kiki Vale, and I'll be your guide to creating a life of Ola Kala, all is well. Together, we'll get back to the basics, and we'll explore fresh new ways to flourish in mind, body, and soul the Greek way. You can look forward to interviews, stories, essential self-care strategies, recipes, and actionable takeaway Ola Kala moments. This is going to be so much fun. Let's get going. Πάμε! Our Lexi for today is Elιά. Elιά, or olive. The history of olives is overwhelming, with fossil evidence of olive branches being found in Santorini, the island of Greece, dating back over 60,000 years. It's incredible. There's so much to share about the Elιά, but let's just get to the point of this. Its value. If there is no olive, there is no olive oil. And olive oil is the main heart health food of the Mediterranean diet. So if you want to be healthy and live longer, eat more olives, whether in natural form or liquid form. Elιά, or olive. It's easy to find, but look for Greek olives as they pack the most taste and nutrition. Eleolado, olive oil, has been celebrated in the civilized world for millennia. Nearly eternal, the oil of this fruit has been more than just food to the cultures of the Mediterranean region. It's been medicinal, ceremonial, sacramental, and the foundation of great wealth and power. It is safe to say that olive oil is the ethos, the essence of Greek culinary culture. Today, the priceless and life-giving ingredients of this liquid gold can be delivered to you when you purchase your premium bottle of Kefi Life extra virgin olive oil from the region my parents were born, the Peloponnese. The coveted Koroneiki olive is extensively cultivated here in the southern part of Greece, which offers the unique microclimate needed to grow a fruit netting the utmost nutrient value for extra virgin olive oil. Kefi Life extra virgin olive oil, a boundless amount of value, high in antioxidants with anti-inflammatory properties, linked to good mood and improved mental health. Get your bottle of wellness today when you visit kefilife.com. Yes, us, and thank you for stopping by the Kefi Life podcast. I love when you join us. You know, we're about 4 years old. That's right. And our numbers downloaded for guests remain high, but our highest ever downloaded guest is Elena Paravantes. That's right. She's a fellow Greek. Are you wondering why Elena is so listened to on the Kefi Life podcast? She's a registered dietitian, author, lecturer, and teacher, and she has decided to join us. She has accepted our invitation to reunite with us to educate and enlighten us on the wide benefits of the world's healthiest diets. And you know which one it is, the Mediterranean diet. Today, we are going to ask questions and also discover why is the Mediterranean diet good for your health, especially heart health, and especially because we're in the month of February and it's Heart Health Month. So let me, without further ado, say kalos orisses to Elena.
Hi, Kiki. Thank you for inviting me. It's always a pleasure to speak with fellow Greeks about our favorite subject, which is food, and about our diet, which is the Mediterranean Greek diet. It's great to be here.
It is so good to have you here. And yes, you're right. Food is on everyone's mind because, well, let's face it, you can't live without it. When you eat it and it's delicious and healthy, it's just all the better. So first, before we get into that, Elena, fill us in. What's the latest? You're in Greece. Are you in the US? Where are you these days?
Well, I spend most of my time in Greece, but I do visit the US a few times a year to keep up, to attend nutrition and wellness conferences. And my main audience is in the US, so I want to be in touch with what is going on over there. But I do live in Greece, yes.
How wonderful. I did look at your TikTok page and you did this great post on Athens, and I had the great opportunity to really spend a lot of time in Athens in September. And by the way, I feel as though that's the best month to visit Athens, Greece.
You are right. September it's still warm. It's actually as if it's summer, but there are less tourists, so it's easier to go to a lot of the sites. There's no long lines. The weather is nice, even in Athens, which can get pretty hot in the summer. And also the islands, they're much calmer, and there's the prices are a bit more reasonable as opposed to August and July.
And you can get a real feel for the authentic Greece, like it's a little bit quieter. And as you say, all the reasons you mentioned. But anyhow, if anyone's thinking about going to Greece and they have a choice, I recommend Athens. But anyways, September. Let's Let's kick in with the Mediterranean diet. Give me your intro, because I love the way you start out every video, everything in your book. Whenever we want to get to know Elena, what is it that we need to know about Elena?
Well, I think in today's world where fact checking isn't as important anymore, it's important to state who you are and why someone should listen to you about whatever topic you're talking about. So I talk about the Mediterranean diet and about nutrition. And it's important for people to know that I am a registered dietitian nutritionist, and I have also been raised on this diet. So it's important because people then will feel trust, and they will feel that what I am saying has credibility. It is just something I read in a book or just something that's trendy. So I think it's very important to say, yes, I have been raised on this diet, and yes, I'm a nutrition professional.
So I guess the next question would be, what prompted you to officiate this and become a registered dietitian?
Oh, that's a long story. Well, with as most Greeks, we grew up around food, around our families, our mothers, our grandmothers, our aunts cooking. But my mother was is very attached to Greek culture and Greek cuisine. So when she moved to the U.S., it was very important for her to maintain that way of eating. And that's not easy when you move to another country and food is not the same. The availability of certain food products, such as olive oil, let's say, is not the same from Greece to the US. So that really influenced me. And as I said, I was raised on the diet, but as a nutritionist, I wanted to know more about the benefits of that diet, which were not that known at that time.
And we'll kick into that in just a moment. But before we talk about that, with regards to the Mediterranean diet, because there are so many reputable publications that report the Mediterranean diet being the healthiest in the world, Mayo Clinic, Harvard, PubMD. There are many sites that say the Mediterranean diet is the healthiest. How far does it date back? Where does it come from? What can we say about it historically?
So, I mean, we can say that the Mediterranean diet is the diet that is kind of a definition where there are olives growing. So in countries where there are olives is what we could say is where the Mediterranean diet existed. However, in that area, there were a lot of influences. So we can't really say it began in ancient Greece or ancient Rome, or in essence, the Mediterranean diet as we know it today was discovered, quote unquote, on the island of Crete in Greece. This is where researchers noted that people there, this was after the war, they were very poor, very bad living conditions. They noted, though, that the people there, even though they didn't have a rich diet with meat and milk, they were living very long and they had essentially no heart disease at all. And they realized it was because they were consuming a lot of olive oil and consuming a lot of greens, wild greens, horta, as we call them in Greek, and almost no meat because meat was scarce. So this led them to do more research in this area, and then they compared it with other countries. And that's where we saw this pattern. And Ansel Keys, who was the researcher of the known 7-country study, is the one that kind of put that in writing. So we can say that that diet kind of was discovered in the 50s and 60s in Greece and southern Italy. That would be, and the main area or the origin would be the island of Crete in Greece.
I've been to Crete. I loved it. Have you visited Crete?
Yes. And I was honored to be invited there to speak at their first TEDx about the Mediterranean diet. So
Great.
that was quite of an experience.
Great. And I think I saw that in a picture on your website. I did not actually listen, but now I will for sure. I've been to Crete. I loved it. It's a large island. And then also in Israel, when my husband and I went in 2022, there were olive trees everywhere, Elena, everywhere. Mm-hmm. And what's even better, I mean, and the Jewish people do incorporate olives into their Mediterranean diet. But what I loved about olive oil and the olive tree is that the Jewish people have an olive tree in front of their home, and that is to wish people that are entering peace and prosperity, and that the residents also have that. So there's so many traditions with the olive and the olive oil. I think that's so interesting.
Yes. I mean, the olive is representative of many things. We know that in ancient Greece, the person who would win the Olympics would get the olive leaf, and so it was very much something respected and honored. So it's important because it exists not only in our food, but olive oil plays an important role in religious activities in Greece. For example, when you're baptized, the priest puts some olive oil on the child, or they use olive oil when they're lighting candles. There's a lot of symbolism in olive trees and olive oil.
Which makes it so meaningful. Like, not only does it taste good, but it has that sacramental meaning, and also it is good for you inside and out. Let's just jump to olive oil.
Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, we're on the topic, so let's just talk about it. When we talk about olive oil and heart health, because it's February and we want to keep our heart healthy, let's dive into the nutrition of olive oil and how it relates to being healthy with a healthy heart.
Okay. About 20, 30 years ago, you may recall, everything was about low fat. And doctors, dietitians were recommending low fat for the heart. But they finally realized, especially looking at the Mediterranean diet, that certain types of fat are good for the heart. And that one fat we can say that is best for the heart is extra virgin olive oil. It has the good fats, the monounsaturated fats. So that's one thing that we know. But more importantly, it is a rich source of antioxidants. That is the main reason why it's healthier than any other, even monounsaturated fat, because olive oil is in essence a juice. Olives are considered a fruit. So olive oil is the juice of the olives. And with the juice, we know that juice has antioxidants, vitamins. It's important that we consume that juice not mixed up with other juices, as you see regular olive oil. Extra olive oil is the only one that has those protective antioxidants that benefit the heart. So by consuming good fats, you are benefiting the heart. It keeps the arteries clean. It lowers cholesterol. So it's important that we use that olive oil. Now, another side effect benefit, let's say, of using olive oil is that in the Mediterranean cuisine, and particularly in Greece, they have one of the highest consumption of vegetables in the world, even today. And that's because they eat a lot of cooked vegetables, which they use a lot of olive oil to cook with them. So you cannot eat such a large amount of vegetables if you do not use a lot of good fat with it. It's just not feasible to consume that much. So I would say the most important part of the benefits are the antioxidants in the olive oil. And there are numerous substances that are protective. Some have not even been, let's say, discovered or isolated yet. So researchers are still discovering new substances in olive oil that have a protective benefit.
It's almost like magic liquid gold. I mean, it's not magic, but you just stated everything that the oil of the juice contains. And here in the States, we import olive oil that has, the juice comes from the Koroniki olive, which is from Kalamata. And it is so delicious and adds such flavor. And I can see, being Greek, and I was raised that way too, eating the vegetables with the olive oil. Truly, if you have a recipe with beans or vegetables that is prepared, sauteed, roasted, baked with the olive oil, it is like a full main meal. Like, you almost don't need the protein. Well, there's protein in beans, right?
Yes, you are right about that. It is very filling and satisfying when you consume one of those type of meals. And the subject of protein is a big issue now, since you mentioned it, because a lot of people, this is a misconception, but there's a lot of information out there that says you have to eat more protein than you're eating. And that the older you get, yes, you need a bit more protein as you get older, but a Mediterranean diet will provide that protein, even if it's vegan, because the Mediterranean diet, traditionally, Greek people at least, didn't consume animal products for 200 days a year, and they lived long and healthy lives. So it's important not to overly focus on protein, especially animal protein, when it comes to trying to have a balanced meal.
Elena, Olivia from Lake Forest posed a question to us because we offered the opportunity to some of our followers to ask us questions. And she is from Lake Forest, and she poses this question. Elena, what are some myths about the diet, and can you lose weight eating this plan?
Yes, that's probably my favorite question, the myths. I think that's why I started writing about it. First of all, yes, you can lose weight. We know that losing weight has to do with calories, first of all, but research has shown us that people who follow a Mediterranean diet are less likely to be overweight, are more likely to maintain a healthy weight. And when children follow Mediterranean diet, they are less likely to be overweight again. So we have many studies that show that people who follow Mediterranean diet are within normal limits of their weight. And when you consume a dish, like you mentioned, with the olive oil and the vegetables, many people are worried that there's so much olive oil. How am I going to lose weight? This is too many calories. But you're not eating other things. You're not eating other processed foods. You're not eating breakfast bars, or, you're just eating a bit of bread, vegetables, and olive oil, and some cheese maybe. So it's very specific. Some people say the Mediterranean diet is a free-for-all diet. That's one of the myths, actually. And there are no rules as long as you don't eat processed food. That is not the case. There was a specific pattern of eating that was noted in these people in Greece and southern Italy. So, yes, you can lose weight. One of the myths is that it is not specific. It is. There are certain things that you need to be consuming. You need to be consuming more vegetables. You need to be consuming greens. Greens are horta, wild greens, any type of leafy green is associated with a lower risk of dementia. So this is very important when it comes to following the Mediterranean diet. Another myth is that you can follow a low-fat diet. And since we're talking about olive oil is the main fat. And to see the benefits of the diet, we need to be consuming about 3, maybe even 4 tablespoons a day of olive oil. But again, we're eating vegetables mainly. We're not eating that much starch. Going to the starch, the next myth is that people think that Mediterranean diet is a high carbohydrate diet. In fact, it isn't. When they did research and they analyzed traditional Mediterranean diets, not the ones we think like pasta and pizza, they found that it is a moderate at about 45 to 50% carbohydrates. The US recommendations are about 60 to 65%. So it's a moderate carbohydrate diet. There are many other myths that it's expensive, for example. But again, research shows us when you start consuming more fruits and vegetables, less animal products, less processed foods, you're going to save money. And you'll save time actually too, because there are ways to save time. You're not spending your day all day in the kitchen.
Exactly. Great answer. I love that. You have given a nice full response. You wrote a book. It's a cookbook called the Mediterranean Diet Cookbook for Beginners, which I use. I reference at least twice a week. I have to say my favorite recipe is the one that you have with the figs and the walnuts.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
I love that. Now I did my own little spin on it. I put some little chocolate chips on there too.
It's nice. It's good to be creative. And I like when readers send what they changed. I always find that very interesting and creative.
Well, just because I wanted a little bit of chocolate in there, but your recipes are fantastic. I'm looking here at page 66, and this one is roasted white beans. Now, I eat beans. I eat lentils. I eat chickpeas. I don't really eat a lot of black beans, and I don't eat a lot of white beans. I'm excited to try this one. It says roasted white beans with summer vegetables. This one looks really good.
Yeah, that is one of my most popular recipes as well. Because it's pretty simple as well. That's one of the things that I talk about, especially on social media, is that Mediterranean diet recipes are not complex. You don't use these very exotic ingredients that we often see sometimes in these videos. So here, you just have some bell peppers, some onion, garlic, and the beans. It's really easy to make. And it's a great source of protein. It's a great source of fiber. And I would consider it a very heart healthy dish.
Perfect. So that just came by osmosis. I love it because Peter is another follower and he says, Elena, can you share some heart healthy Mediterranean recipes with us?
Great. So yes, first of all, bean recipes. Beans are like a superfood. They have fiber, they have protein, and they have antioxidants. And all those 3 things, first of all, protect our heart, because fiber helps us lower our cholesterol, but it also keeps us full. So protein and fiber together, that combo is the best combo to keep your appetite balanced, so you're not hungry. The other thing is there's olive oil, there's garlic, which is also beneficial for the heart. So you're getting a lot of, that's the beauty of the Mediterranean diet, is that these dishes, almost all the ingredients are sources of antioxidants. And that is very important, not only for the heart, but for longevity in general.
So when you're combining the foods to make these wonderful recipes, are you thinking nutrition first or taste first? And how do you get them to be nutritious and delicious?
I wish I could take credit for that. These are just traditional, Mediterranean recipes that our grandmothers cooked. And So I find that is so fascinating that there was this wiseness in their cooking without them knowing that this was heart healthy or any of the other benefits. So it's natural. It just comes natural. And I think it's beautiful that, we had that opportunity to be raised with that type of diet.
Indeed. I'd love to talk to you about one of my favorite foods, which contains vegetables and olive oil, but there's so many different types of recipes for this. Salads. I love salads. Elena, I could eat a salad at every single meal. And
I'm with you on that.
I just love salads because you can get creative with them. The famous one that everybody knows about is the choriatiki, or the village salad. I think it's pretty recognizable, but I would love for you to share some 3 or 4, maybe 3 traditional salads that maybe people aren't aware of that are pretty delicious.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. One of the salads that we consume, because we try to consume things in season. So right now in Greece, and I think in the US, it's winter, you won't consume a Greek salad because tomatoes just are not in season right now. So we make our cabbage and carrot salad. This is a traditional salad that has white cabbage and carrot, grated carrot, olive oil, lemon, a touch of garlic, and sometimes vinegar. And it's very simple, but in essence, it's very rich in antioxidants again, very rich in fiber. And cabbage is a member of the cruciferous vegetables, which also have anti-cancer benefits. Another salad I would say is the Greek maroulo salata, which is romaine lettuce, spring onion, some dill, again, olive oil and vinegar or lemon. So those are 2 salads I would consume more in the winter. And then we also have a beet salad that we consume as well, which we typically have it with scordalia, which is the Greek garlic dip. And that's, again, olive oil, some garlic, some vinegar, and the beets. So these are very, salads that don't require 50 ingredients, but are very healthy and very delicious.
Excellent. Excellent. On the subject of garlic or scordo or scordalia, my family knows when I eat it. I can take scordalia, if it's made authentically, and just spear it on some toasted Italian bread or pita bread. And
exactly.
Feta and olives. And sometimes those piquillas or those little appetizers become meals with a nice glass of red wine. And that's what I really want to impart on behalf of myself to people, is that, it's not really the portion, like you don't have to keep eating so much food, but if the food tastes really good and there are different flavors popping up in your mouth, you just want to savor it and slowly eat it. And it could be on a small mini plate. It doesn't have to be a big, like here in America, our plates are just so giant with food.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Eating, and it's like, what did we just eat? So I think flavor has a lot to do with our preparation too of the Mediterranean diet, the way we season it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And mindfulness when you're eating, like not just eating while watching TV or while driving, because you're not focusing on the food. And it's important that you focus on the food so you can taste the food, but also realize when you're full. And that doesn't happen if you're eating and doing something else at the same time.
My father, God rest his soul, he stayed in shape. He lived until 91, and he came over to the States when he was 31. He would sit down to his meal, and he did exactly what you just said. He would eat his food, would not listen to music, look at the newspaper, do anything except eat and possibly talk to someone at the table. And he always put his fork down.
That's a great habit.
Yes, he really did that. And he ate slow and he enjoyed it. And he naturally ate the way you just described the Mediterranean diet. Just horta, amsari, fish, and the beans. So do you think it's an acquired taste? Do you think that the Mediterranean diet is acquired, or do you think people generally could like it?
I think anybody can follow the Mediterranean diet in terms of flavor. I don't believe it's an acquired taste, at least for people living in the US. I cannot say that for people, for example, in Asia, who have different tastes, but for Americans, generally, I mean, they consume many different type of cuisines, but the Mediterranean diet is pretty, I would say, mild. Maybe that's not the right word, but it definitely is easy to like, with the exception of some foods like octopus, which, yes, you kind of have to learn to like that or grow up with it, because I know here in Greece, kids eat octopus like it's nothing, like it's fine. They don't even, so yeah.
What I love about the Mediterranean diet and Greek food specifically is that when I eat it, Elena, I really have an association with an experience or a person or, a relative's recipe. And I think that's special too, when we can sit down to food and not only feel satiated and healthy, but have a great memory to go along with that.
Yeah, you're so right. I mean, I agree. I have the same experience with almost every traditional dish. There's something that reminds me, either my mom's, my aunt's, a day after the beach, something. I always have a memory for certain dishes.
Just got to throw this in there. My aunt, my Thea Starula, in the village of Corinth in Zapalatio, when we were kids, we would go to Corinth every summer to visit my father's family, and she would always make us spaghetti with giftedes, with salata, with a little bit of wine, and yes, we were kids. All of that bread. And then we'd have dessert, we'd have lucumades. And I will always think of those foods, as you just said, a day after the beach.
Yeah.
Thank you for reminding me. Yeah.
That sounds beautiful.
Thank you so much. Give us a plug on it. I want to promote everything that you're doing. Not only are you raised on the Mediterranean diet, you are also educated with it. You went to the University of Illinois when you were in the States. Tell us where we can find your books. What are the name of your books? Where we can find you if we want information on your website, etc.
Okay. Well, my website is olivetomato.com. So there you can find information about the book. My book is called The Mediterranean Diet Cookbook for Beginners. Look for my name on the book because the book has done very well. It has sold over 100,000 copies right now. So what happens is a lot of other copycat books came out with a similar design. So just make sure it has my name on it. I am at TikTok under the name Mediterranean Diet, on Instagram under Authentic Mediterranean Diet, and on Facebook as well, where you can find me with my website, olivetomato.com. So I'm almost everywhere.
Yes, you are. And I really have learned a lot through your videos on TikTok. I like watching them. Okay. So Elena Paravantes, registered dietitian. This is probably not a fair question, but is there a vegetable that you feel nets the most nutrition out there? Like we talked about the olive being a fruit and the juice of the olive. Is there a vegetable that you would say can give you a lot of punch for the food?
I think there's several vegetables, but if I talk about versatility, I would say the tomato, because the tomato is present. And I know a lot of people contact me because they have acid reflux and they're very upset that they can't have tomatoes. But for our purposes for this show, the tomato is rich in antioxidants. It has very few calories and it is versatile. You can eat it fresh, especially when it's in season in salads. But you can also puree it. You can make juice or puree it or tomato paste and save it for the winter. And it is used in almost every single vegetable casserole recipe in the Mediterranean. You always start with your onions and then with tomato. So that would be one of the vegetables I would say if I had to point out one. But there are so many other vegetables that have benefits. They're just not, in my opinion, as versatile in terms of cooking.
That's good to know. So 2 more questions. I asked you this in the first interview, but I'm going to ask you again. But first, what do you want to impart to our audience about the Mediterranean diet? After studying it, after eating it, living it, talking about it, lecturing on it, what would you like to leave the followers with in regards to the Mediterranean diet?
I mean, one thing is to understand that it isn't as difficult as it is presented, and it isn't so different than what one would consider consuming if they were to follow a healthy-ish diet. And so what I mean by that, it's if I had to use 2 words, it would be vegetables and olive oil. If you can add those 2 things to your diet and stay away from ultra-processed and processed foods, then you're 90% there. That's what my message would be.
And it's February, so that's a great message. Vegetables and olive oil. Let's get heart healthy, folks. Let's just get healthy head to toe. Okay, finally, Elena Paravantes. Here's the question for you to answer, and you can take a moment to reflect on it because it's pretty broad. But Elena? Okay. In my life, I've learned that.
Oh, okay. Interesting question. In my life, at this age that I am now, I've learned that not everybody thinks like me, and that is a strength, or to help people. Like if you can see the point of view of the other person and not automatically assume that they would want or they think the same way as you do. I hope that's clear. Maybe it sounds a bit broad.
It sounds very democratic. It sounds very democratic and Athenian. I love it. I love it. No, I understand what you're saying. Like, it's nice to hear both sides and take the information that is helpful. And everybody learns at a different rate. So we offer it, and if they're ready to accept it, and same with us, then it's great.
Exactly. And, especially because in essence, I'm a teacher, I'm an educator. So I want to make sure that I meet that person halfway. If, they want to be healthier, I can help them and I can see their point of view as well.
You have been such a wonderful guest. I can't thank you enough for returning to the Kefi Life podcast. And I myself have learned today and enjoyed every single thing you've said.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. And I'd be happy to come back again.
Oh, consider it done. And then I'll see you this summer in Greece. We're going to have to make a connection.
Definitely. Definitely.
All right. Καλή συνέχεια. Have a wonderful day, evening, because it's evening there. And I thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yamas, today I'd like to personally invite you to sign up for my Tuesday newsletter. Why? Because here I will directly communicate with you, sharing additional wellness content and promotions that our team has created for you in mind. I promise not to overload you, only further inspire you. Visit KefiLife.com today, sign up for the Tuesday newsletter, bringing you one step closer to Ola Kala, all is well.
Kiki Vale is the founder of Kefi Life. She is passionate about whole person wellness and living a fulfilled life. Her Kefi Life podcast is created to simply and naturally help you harmonize the mind, body, and soul the Greek way. Visit KefiLife.com and check out Kiki Vale on LinkedIn and on Twitter. Join us again next time for more positive energy and inspiration on Kefi Life.